Hi there, it's Wendy Hernandez, and welcome to another episode of Command the Courtroom. In today's show, I have a special guest, Ravit Rose, and Ravit is a professionally trained divorce coach. She has tools and the understanding to help you create a life you imagine and get a renewed sense of self. In addition to her training and experience, which I think is born of a years-long battle with divorce herself, Ravit has programs that will help you as you go on your journey. We'll talk about those during this interview, but I want to welcome you to the show today, Ravit. Thank you for being here.
Thank you kindly for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here and share my knowledge with all of you.
Thank you so much. I know the viewers are going to get a lot out of it. So, Ravit, the thing that we were just talking about offline is that we've just finished the holidays. And typically in my law practice, right after the holidays is a very busy time. I'm getting lots of calls from people who they say they're ready to move forward with divorce. And this year's no different. The phone has been ringing off the hook. So, as people are considering divorce as we go into 2021, I'd love to talk to you about questions they should be asking themselves, things they should be thinking about, and tools maybe that you can share with them as they consider whether to move forward with divorce. How does that sound?
That's a great question, actually, and it's something that I educate people or parents with on a regular basis. And the reason is because often enough, parents are making emotional decisions to divorce and they're not really thinking it through. So I help people to create what I call like a divorce strategy. And it sounds weird, but it's really, really required. And it's something that any person who's gone down the nasty divorce path will tell you, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have gone like this. I should have done like that. So basically the divorce strategy helps you avoid the I should have dones. And it helps you look at your divorce from a bird's eye view. You look at all the different angles of your life, and you basically make a mock-up of what your life is going to look like post-divorce. And then once you do that, then you can actually say to yourself, okay, is it a logical decision right now to divorce? Or was it purely emotional? Or should I wait? So when you actually plan it out, you have better success rates to having an amicable divorce because you're not walking into it with this overload of drama and fear and worries and anxieties. You're actually walking into it feeling content with it, feeling complete with it, feeling that this is really the right thing for you to do and for everyone to, for this new life for everyone. So when you plan it in advance and you think about it strategically and methodically first, you could save yourself time, money, and a whole load of gray hairs.
Yes. That sounds fantastic. And I think that one of the problems that I see with many people going through the divorce process or just the family court process in general is the lack of thinking about what that process will look like or the lack of expectation. So then they are shocked when it takes so long or when it costs so much money, or when they're not in alignment with an attorney if they choose to hire one. So, when you counsel people, do you also talk to them about the process in addition to what their life will look like post-divorce potentially?
I actually help as a coach. I take them from where they are today to where they want to be.
Got it.
So I don't focus so much on the law side. I actually don't touch that at all. But what I do is I help them to recreate their new life. I help them to imagine what their life is going to look like if they make that decision. Or sometimes if they're having a hard time making the decision, we go through, all the different aspects, a bunch of different questions and analyses that will get them thinking realistically. And then the decision comes to them like that. It becomes an automatic thing because they've thought it through, and I help them to force out the emotions. I'm not saying don't have emotions. I'm saying when you're thinking about a decision, you need to remove the emotions temporarily and then bring them back when it's time to deal with them. So when you're thinking about doing this, when you're thinking about an agreement, when you're thinking about what are the details, what do I want to do with my life, it's a lot more than just thinking about kids and money. Because often enough, that's what parents are thinking of, just those two things. But there's so much more to think about. Yeah. So if you don't do the thinking now, it'll hit you later. And when it hits you later, you come back and regret the decisions you made yesterday, because that's when you say, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have said this, I should have said that, I should have agreed to that, I should. Then all the regrets, you live with them, they amplify, and then guess who you get mad at? Your ex. Right. And then you start butting heads with your ex because you did things that you shouldn't have done. And so you see how it's this constant tug of war. And it's not always because the two parents don't get along. It's sometimes because you're just not happy with the decision that you made. And it happens to all of us. We're all the same. Doesn't matter where we live around the world. We have the same stories and sagas. Your story and my story may differ. I may argue over pink shoes. You may argue over a pair of shorts. But at the end of the day, we're arguing over the same things. And our issues are the same. Why? Because divorce is all the same, because we're parents and we care about our children. And this is what matters to us. So it doesn't even matter where we come from. Doesn't matter socioeconomic background. None of that even matters, because it's just human behavior.
Got it. Okay. So can you give like a couple of examples, for example, of things that people should be thinking about, not just bigger than just kids and money?
Sure. So I have a course that I've created. It's called, it's a free course too. It's the 5 critical steps to divorcing the right way. And those are 5 key things, key strategies that will help a parent avoid from ending up broken, whether financially, emotionally, or physically. And these are the 5 things that we don't think about when we're contemplating divorce or newly separated. It's only something we may realize later down the road, once the pain and the drama has kicked in. So an example is that if you're looking at a parent's, for example, so when you met, you were boyfriend and girlfriend, then your relationship changed and you became husband and wife. You moved in together and suddenly all your decisions were united. So even if you didn't agree, at some point you somewhat agreed because you were living under one household and there was some commonality or unity. Now you're walking into a whole new relationship you know nothing about. You are now mother and father. 2 opposing parties, 2 different thoughts, 2 different worlds, 2 different perspectives, and now you've got 2 different ways of doing things. There is no unity anymore. So now you imagine you're like in a boxing rink and you're like deciding, should we fight, should we not fight? Should we fight, should we not fight? Right? So when you went from boyfriend and girlfriend to mother and father, or to husband and wife, then you learned how to get along, right? It was an adjustment. There's a huge adjustment now too. The problem is that you're both on the opposite ends of the spectrum. And so now you have to learn boundaries. Now you have to learn this new relationship. So while you're recreating your own life, you're actually trying to figure out, what is it that I need to do? Why is he so crazy? Why is she doing this? And how come this and how come that? A lot of the times it's because you just don't know how to have that relationship. You don't understand how to separate what you used to know yesterday to what you're going to be doing today. So that is one key strategy that most people don't realize that ends up causing a major amount of problems.
Yes. So that makes sense to me, because the relationship has changed. Then is what you're saying, that people kind of have to update their operating system.
Yes.
In terms of how they're dealing with each other, because it's a new system now. It's not the old system, new system.
It's a new system. You're solo mom, solo dad. You have to recreate your new life. The other party has to recreate their own lives. The kids have to start over their lives. So if you don't strategically plan how this is all going to work, you're going to be facing a lot of fires and a lot of drama, what I call looping sagas. It's like those constant issues that come back again and again and again and again, like a tornado, and just doesn't stop. How do you get out of it? You get out of it when you're smart about it and when you strategically plan it out. So otherwise, you're just living in that on a constant basis. So if you don't know, like I say, we don't know how to marry, and we certainly don't know how to divorce either. Yes. So what are we basing it on? Someone else's stories, what they read on social media, what Facebook says, what some stranger told them they did once that worked for them, that they think would work for them. For you, it doesn't work that way. Those are myths. Like, those are going to destroy you in many ways possible. I mean, you would know, right? I'm sure you've seen that over and over again, or people coming to you and saying, oh, but so-and-so told me that she did that and that's what worked well for her. It doesn't work that way. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. So, can you think of off the top of your head, like, a looping system that you frequently see in your coaching clients that might be beneficial for people to be aware of so they at least are aware of it, that they might have it?
Sure. I have this one example that that works really well because it really hits home. And there's a video which explains this further on YouTube. And it talks about the financial implications to a divorce. And so I give different examples for that really make sense of what I'm about to say. And so if you imagine that Jane and John are now mother and father, they're no longer married or together, and now they're fighting over Sally's pink shoes. I forgot Sally's pink shoes at his house, and now I'm going to fight with him back and forth because I want those shoes back. He doesn't give me the shoes. So what do? I contact my attorney. My attorney starts sending letters to his attorney. His attorney starts answering mine, back and forth. Now it's no longer about Sally's pink shoes. It's about 25 other things that are not even related. So now I've spent $1,000 in legal fees. He spent $1,000 on legal fees for what? A pair of $20 shoes.
Yes, agreed. 100%.
And if it's not the shoes, it's about grilled cheese sandwich.
Yes.
I like to feed my kids grilled cheese sandwich on whole wheat bread because it's healthier. You fed them on white bread. That's not healthy. So now we're going to butt heads and we're going to keep going around looping in sagas because if it's not over Sally's pink shoes, it's over the grilled cheese. And if it's not the grilled cheese, it's the pants and the shorts. You see that? It's a whole difference in parenting.
Yes.
And that's what costs a lot of money. It's those ridiculous issues that should not even end up going in front of an attorney. You should be doing so much else with an attorney, but not fighting over pink shoes and a grilled cheese sandwich. I mean, it sounds minute, but I'm telling you, for all those of you who have been divorced, you know that these are the types of fights you have. And it's common.
Yes, I will say that. I've had people spend thousands over a 300 piece of IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
And there have been times when I've said, listen, I'll buy you a new one because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And it drives me insane. Exactly. So, when people see their relationship with their ex maybe heading in that direction, like the example that you just gave, what are your thoughts on a different decision or set of decisions that they could make? Like in the example you gave, what could they do to shift that to something different?
The most important start to shifting anything is having a goal. What's your end goal? Where do you want to go in life? What do you want your life to look like? Mm-hmm. So I have a course, for example, on my app, which talks about how to strategically plan your divorce. And one of the main things that we do is that we look at where do you want your life to take you? So let's say this divorce is over and done with. What do you want it to look like? Mm-hmm. So when you have a goal in mind and you are focused and targeted, laser focused on that goal, you will not digress and start going off path and arguing over stupid things that are going to cost you thousands of dollars. You are going to keep your eye on your goal. So the best thing to do is get yourself a coach or an expert or someone who will help you stay on that path. Why? Because your emotions are going to want to pull you into the argument, but the coach is going to say, no, that doesn't meet your goals, because it'll just make you go off path, a huge detour, cost you thousands of dollars, months and years of stress. It's not worth it. So you need someone to help you with the pros and the cons of every one of your moves. Does it make sense for now, tomorrow, and the future? If your answer is yes, go for it. If the answer is no, then think twice before you take that move.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes complete sense to me. So, one thing that I often see is people arguing just because of the principle of the matter. They want to be right. And it's hard to let go of, like, listen, what he's saying is a lie or what she's saying is a lie, and I need to prove it. Do you see that come up in your practice?
All the time. And it happened to me also. I went through a 10-year, decade-long battle. I spent over $80,000 in legal fees. I went around in circles and circles and circles to finally understand it was all just a game. Mm-hmm. It was a game, and I got suckered into it. So yes, there is things that you can do and you should do. If you want to get out of that cycle, you need to first tell yourself, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done. I'm not spending any more money on these things. The money that I have doesn't come easy. It's not going to go out that easy either, right? Be smart, be strategic, be methodical. Get yourself someone who's going to help you and be accountable with you, and someone who's going to show you the ropes of how to divorce what I call the right way. Keep you out of these sagas and keep you more focused on rebuilding your future and what it is that you want from your life.
Okay, so thank you for that. So say somebody has an attorney. Do you think that someone like you, a divorce coach, in addition to the attorney, could be helpful? Would you recommend it in that situation? And if so, can you describe how you might be able to complement what the attorney is doing?
Absolutely. I wish I had me when I was getting divorced. If I had a divorce coach, I can guarantee you I would have never walked into $80,000 of legal bills. I guarantee you that I wouldn't have gone through a decade long of just looping around in circles. So what can a coach do? A coach works with you while you're working with your attorney, because the attorney takes care of the law. But besides the law, you have to take care of yourself. There's a lot of decisions you have to make. There's a lot of choices you have to make. You have to think realistically, plan out your life. That's not something that you can do with an attorney. That's something that you have to do on your own. So I always say that when we're getting divorced, there's so many different things that we need help with, right? We need to help with the finances, and we need help with our career. And then there's the kids and the parenting and becoming a solo mom or solo dad, and then becoming an individual again and rediscovering ourselves. There's so many different components that you need to work with. And a coach is going to help you to look at all these things and start to recreate that life. So if you don't get a coach and you do it on your own, just the way I did it, you're going to just basically go through trial and error. You're going to go through the mountains and the valleys, and you're going to go through the highs and the lows all the time until you learn what your system is. But if you want to avoid having to go through the ups and downs, you get yourself someone who's already been there, done that, who has the experience and can help you avoid that past. So they say, hold on a second. If you're about to do that, it's okay. It's your choice. But A, B, and C could possibly happen. If you don't mind A, B, and C, go for it. But if you don't want that, then let's look at option B that can provide you with possible options of X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
So you decide at the end of the day what makes sense. I didn't have that. So I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I understood my reality. Well, I learned the hard way that my reality is not the reality that happens in court and is not the reality that happens in real life. Because what I think should happen is not necessarily what will happen, because it just doesn't work that way. So a coach can help you stay on path. A coach can help you get closer towards your goal. And a coach can actually help you to avoid all the unnecessary craziness that you hear in everyone else's nasty divorce stories.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. And I've said it in the past that a lot of times for me as a divorce attorney who's been practicing over 20 years, the main impediment to people resolving their cases is not the technical aspect, but the emotional aspect, or the lack of vision over what they want, or the inability to identify, what's at stake, or, how they want things to end up. So I agree that a divorce coach could work in concert with someone like me and kind of help deal with those issues. So then I could be freer to take care of the technical issues. Yeah.
Because divorce is about, if your divorce becomes possessive over ego, power, and money, that's all you're focusing on. You're not even dealing with the issues at hand. So I know how frustrating it is when you're trying to move forward, but you can't move forward because something keeps pulling you back. Well, usually what's pulling you back is that you're making the wrong decisions. And you're focusing on either your ego or you're focusing on your emotions, and it just doesn't make logical sense. So sometimes it's better to deal with it on the outside, figure out what it really is you want, and then go to your attorney and say, okay, I'm very clear. Now I know this is what I want. And it's going to be easier for you to get it if it comes from a logical standpoint, because your ex or soon-to-be ex will see that it really does make sense. But if your ex feels that it's nothing but a battle or a revenge, or you're trying to create havoc or make them suffer, then guess what's going to happen? You're just going to butt heads.
Yep. Okay. So let me ask you this. Let's fast forward a little bit and say, there's a client, I talk to a client and they say, this is what I want. This is my goal. This is what I want my life to look like. And I think divorce is the way for me to get there. What would you say to that person? Like, what's a good next step for them, either with or without a coach?
I would say, well, if you don't have a coach, then you're just basing on what you know. And we don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And because we don't know how to marry, we don't know how to divorce either. So you have to remember that if you do things on your own, you'll fall into the traps that I fell into and that thousands and millions of others have also fallen into. But if you take it from a bird's eye view and you start looking and saying, okay, this is what I think I want. Now you have to look at all the other areas that you're not thinking of. So I've worked with clients who have said, I know exactly what I want. I say, great, tell me what you want. And then when we actually go through that strategy analysis that I was telling you before that I've created, they start to realize other things that they never thought about. They're like, oh, I can't believe it. I never even thought about that. I had one client, a male, who was such a methodical person. And I thought, okay, maybe he actually really does have it all figured out. He stays up all night and he figures it out. We start talking about things and he was flabbergasted. He says, I never thought about that. I didn't even know I had to think about that now. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know about that. There are things you just don't know. So those things you don't know is what causes you the most trouble in the future. Mm-hmm. So it's better to spend a few $100s and get yourself a coach who will put you on the right path, because the alternative is that it'll cost you thousands on the other side, or a whole load of time and stress and very possibly health issues. You kind of have to weigh out what's more important. Like, I know everybody wants to, check their budgets and be very careful and not spend too much. But if you don't spend on what's smart right now, then you're just going to end up spending it later. Guaranteed, hands down, there's no other way this works. So it's kind of like a business. If you want to go into business, you don't just say, okay, I want to sell, this pen. And then you go into the market and you sell the pen. There's a whole load of planning. So treat it like a business. Plan it out. Think it through, look at the ups and downs, pluses and minuses, preferably when you're contemplating divorce. It's better to do all this planning when you're contemplating it, when you haven't said anything yet, just to make sure that you're starting off your divorce process on a good note. You're starting it calmly, you're starting it off logically, your conversations are going to be more calm. The other parent is not going to be flared up and triggered because you said something that flared them up, because you're just going to be coming from a calmer place. So if you start off calm, you're going to end off calm.
Got it. All right. Excellent. So Ravit, you mentioned a free course that you have available. Can you let people know how they can access that? And then also talk a little bit about the other, the services that you offer. I know you have an app and that you do divorce coaching. So can you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I help clients on a one-on-one basis, and that's basically that, we're on phone or Zoom, and this is a one-on-one situation. I've also just recently created and launched a divorce community app. So it's kind of like a Facebook, but it's for parents in divorce only. So it's for those who are contemplating divorce or newly separated. Now, the best feature of it all is that parents can remain anonymous. So you use a fake name, a fake picture. You could be Donald Duck and use an avatar of a flower. It doesn't matter. You could be Pamela Anderson. It really doesn't matter. The point is that you have a place now to chat with other parents who are going through the same thing as you, so that you're not alone. You don't feel alone. If you're up in the middle of the night and you have a question or dilemma, you want to just vent it out of your head and put on a piece of paper because you have no one else to talk to. Right? So not only can you engage with other parents and learn and all that, but we have a whole bunch of experts from around the world who are coming in and teaching us new tools, techniques, strategies, ways of moving forward with life, things to think about, things that you've definitely not even thinking about, and ways to help you on a emotional, financial, and physical level to move forward with your life. So the app is called divorcebyrose.com. And I do have a couple of free courses in there, especially the 5 critical steps to divorcing the right way. And I welcome you to go in and take a look around. There's a 7-day free trial so that you can come in and take a look around. And it's a great place for you to come and engage with other parents, but also learn. The whole idea here is that everyone here is learning, evolving, growing, transforming, and moving forward with life. So we're not sitting in the looping sagas. We're looking for solutions. We're looking for strategies. We're looking for ways to actually revolutionize the way parents are divorcing around the world by teaching you what it is that all of us who've suffered and all of us who've spent a ton of money have learned the hard way. So now we're passing it forward to everyone else so that they don't have to go through that path. So they have the one-on-one coaching, which you can find on revitrose.com. You have the app, which is divorcedbyrose.com. And there's also, you can follow me on YouTube or Facebook at Ravit Rose. You could Google me. You'll find pretty much everything that I do there.
Excellent. So that's a beautiful, wonderful thing that you're doing. I know you're helping a lot of people and you're going to help a lot more. And I encourage anybody who's watching who feels like Ravit might be able to help to check out divorcedbyrose.com, right? Is that right,
Yes,
Ravit?
exactly.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to share, Ravit, what you're doing. You're doing great work in the world. And I look forward to seeing how things continue to evolve for you. And for anybody out there listening and who's going through a divorce or custody or a family law case, you got to remember to you got to keep going. You got to keep on trucking. And in addition to navigating that emotional aspect of it, you got to know the law wherever you are, whatever your jurisdiction is, wherever you are in the world. So what I always say is, until next time, get out there and command the courtroom, and I'll see you then.